Council meeting for Monday, February 7th to order. Roll call.
Mayor Calvin.
Here.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Here.
Osmus.
Here.
Butterfield.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Osk.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Plowman.
Here.
Nelson. Here. 9 present, 0 absent.
I will now read a statement regarding hybrid meetings. In my capacity of mayor of the city of Willmar, together with City Administrator Valiant and City Attorney Scott, we have jointly determined that it would not be practical or prudent to conduct tonight's meeting of the City Council entirely in person due to the ongoing COVID-19 health pandemic and its potential to impact individuals who will need to be involved in this meeting in order for the council to complete its business tonight. Therefore, under Minnesota State Statute, Section 13D.021, Subdivision 1, Subparagraph 1, we will be allowing council members and other individuals needed to be in attendance to attend remotely through a GoToMeeting video link. The meeting link has been distributed to council members and individuals that are expected to be in attendance this evening. The meeting link was also posted on the city's website, posted at City Hall. As a hybrid meeting, council members attending this meeting via GoToMeeting are considered present at this meeting for the purpose of determining a quorum and participating in all proceedings. With that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any proposed additions or deletions to the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien. Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson. Aye. 8 ayes, 0 nays.
That motion passes. Next is consent items. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on tonight's consent agenda, we have for council's approval the City Council minutes of January 18th, Willmar Municipal Utilities Commission minutes of January 24th, the Rice Hospital Board minutes of December 1st, Park and Recreation Board minutes of December 15th, accounts payable report for December 30th through February 1st, a resolution to approve Park and Recreation Board bylaws, an appointment to the Rice Hospital Board of Michael May, MD, application for exempt permit from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, a resolution to purchase a Kubota RTV and attachments to Public Works Department, for council's acceptance, a building report for the month of January, Convention and Visitors Bureau minutes of December 21st, and for council's information, an appointment to the Airport Commission of Ryan Nelson, an appointment to Planning Commission of Jasmine Miller.
Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Councilmember Osk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull for conversation item M.
With the exception of item N, any other discussion to the motion that's been made? All in favor of the resolution? Resolution, roll call.
Councilmember Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson. Aye. Fagerly.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Councilmember Osk.
Thank you. I was actually just hoping to have some conversation and bring this to the council for some feedback from colleagues. It's clear that Ms. Miller would provide a wealth of relevant knowledge and talent and information. I mean, it's clear that there are benefits to having her on the Planning Commission. I've never met her, I'll add, but from reading the background here, it seems that she's clearly qualified. My question is, does it Are there negative consequences about having another city's planning administrator on our planning commission? Does that create any conflicts of interest? Is there information that that group would be privileged to have that we wouldn't want another city's staff to have? Does that change the way that the commission might interact with each other, having another city staff person on that group? I have questions. I'm not sure I have necessarily answers to those questions, but I was hoping that we could have some conversation about that and maybe hear more about the appointment.
Council members, questions or comments? Follow up to the questions that Councilmember Osk is asking, and what your thoughts or feelings are on that. Councilmember Fagerly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, she is a resident of Willmar. She's in our ward, so that's a plus. And if her employer, City of Olivia, allows it, I guess there shouldn't be any issue. I'm sure she has some things similar in thought that our director has, Mr. Justice, so I don't see a negative for it. So.
Additional comments. Councilmember Nelson.
It caught my attention that she's using the City of Olivia's email, and so I was just curious from a legal standpoint if Mr. Scott has any comments about just the information that's shared at the Planning Commission, and would there be any conflict?
Mayor, Council, on its face, I don't believe that being employed by another city would be disqualifying for serving on a volunteer board or commission of the city. I suppose I can imagine a rather unlikely scenario where there could be an issue that both jurisdictions have an interest in that might create a challenge, but I think that could be handled on a case-by-case basis.
So using the city's email, that Planning Commission information would be sent to the City of Olivia, that doesn't create a conflict?
I see. Yeah, I might suggest that a different email address be either assigned to her or requested that she use a different address. But I think that's a logistical issue that could be worked through rather than a issue that would disqualify her from appointment.
Councilmember Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I shared just some of the same questions, not necessarily reservations, but my opinion would just be a little bit of concern that there may be during the planning process or the discussion of potential projects that could be going on, that information that's not necessarily supposed to be disseminated early on in the process be going to another municipality or going through another municipality's internal email servers. Obviously, if you're talking developmental projects and, exploratory projects and whatnot, those are types of things that are very important to the city of Willmar, and we want to keep important to the city of Willmar. So I guess I would be in favor of it as long as, proper protocol and procedures were put into place ahead of time just to ensure that everything was on the up and up. Not that I don't believe it would be, but I would be in favor of it if that were to be the case.
Councilmember O'Brien.
I guess my only question is why? Why does she want to be on this planning committee?
She answers that in her application, and the fact that she
I saw part of it, yeah.
yeah, that she wants to serve the community.
Our community.
Yeah, our community. Additional comments or questions? Councilmember Nelson.
So is this the first, or is our planning department aware of this, or is this the first that they would be knowing about it?
The recommendation came from the planning department.
Okay.
Additional comments or questions? Councilmember Osk.
I'll move to approve the appointment.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. I was going to make just a brief comment. I just wanted to make sure council was concluded. Previously, our building inspector served on the planning commission for the city of New London. And one of the things I know that had been said at that time is that, you know, if there's a conflict, you know, you need to remove yourself from the discussion and remove yourself from, you know, the issue, to make the issue as clear as can be, so there's not conflict. I think it's a valid discussion. I think we've had good discussion about it. And I think we'll have the staff follow up and get a new email address. And I would assume that you would want to see that there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The motion has been made and seconded. Councilmember Nelson.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, we are simply accepting it tonight for information so that
Correct.
she has a chance to review what we talked about too, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. That's why we're doing the two-step process.
Yep.
You remember before we didn't do that?
No,
I
I'm
changed
good.
that
No,
procedure.
I'm good with
Right.
it. I'm just clarifying where we were at.
Right, yeah. I'm just, for some of the newer council members, they may not be aware that before, when the first time it came to the council, it was approved. And so we changed that procedure, I think, 6 years ago, to where we bring it for information first, and then it's approved at the next one. So I think Dr. May is approved this evening. He was on our agenda 3 weeks ago. Motion been made and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Butterfield,
Aye.
O'Brien,
Aye.
Ask,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Plowman,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Fagerly,
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That motion passes. Next, we have a open forum comment that have been asked to read a letter into the record. I will ask our city clerk to start the timer, please. This letter is from a Mr. William Fry. Good evening, City Council members. I would like to apologize for not being here this evening because of schedule conflicts. I am writing this letter to be read at the February 7th, 2022 meeting in regards to agenda item number 10 that has recently been placed about the city-owned airport. I want to be quoted that I am in favor of the projects that provide services to our airport and tax-paying citizens, including this one, with some consideration. I've been a hangar owner and land lease operator at the airport since 2007, shortly after the airport opened. When I obtained my building permits and signed lease, I was informed that I had to pay for my concrete in front of my hangar with my own funds. This was even after a number of other hangars had already received state and city monies to have their ramps and aprons installed. I was told that this was because they moved in hangars from the old airport. I understood this and paid for and installed my ramp apron. I also was told and have still been told that the city would have concrete installed between the ramp apron that adjoins each hangar and between each hangar to cut down on water soaking into the soil because of our ongoing drainage issues. This has been an ongoing issue for the past 15 years because of a lack of city funds. Presently, we have 4 hangars at the airport which do not have finished ramps or aprons. Hangars number 1, 2, 110, 36, and 42. There is gravel dirt where there should be concrete, which causes damages to airplane propellers. This is referred to as FOD, foreign object debris. My understanding is that the federal government pays a large portion of the upcoming project through our tax dollars called entitlement funds. They do not pay for any portion of the 50 feet in front of the hangar. There must be good reason for that. I understand the item before everyone shows the new hangar will have the concrete paid for by the city, state, and other federal funds. What I'm asking is that since we are spending monies, that we finish all concrete projects with this new project. These old concrete projects have been on the list for 15 years. Also, since we are also possibly changing the practice of paying for concrete, I would like to be considered for a refund or tax credit for pouring my own concrete when I had my hangar constructed. I feel that this is moral and legally correct. I can provide receipts if needed for consideration. Because we're using the pretense of using the new hangar for transit storage, most of us hangar owners allow transit aircraft to use a space in our hangar when we have available space for inclement weather and mechanical breakdowns. I have done this numerous times.
Mr.
5
Mayor.
minutes is up, and at this time, there are 2 paragraphs left to be read into the record, but the 3-minute timeline is up. And so at that time, hold on a minute, we changed this policy. Mr. Scott, we changed the policy so that the aggregate could not exceed 15 minutes. One subject matter could be clumped together. Somebody help me with the wording on this. I think based on the change of our policy, I think we changed our policy on this. It used to be a flat 3 minutes, but I think when we updated the policy, I think we changed that. Does anybody remember it? Any council members?
I don't.
Mayor, I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember the 3-minute limit for individual speakers changing. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but
If it was a group, it was 5. If it was a group, it was 5.
So group had 5 minutes, individuals still only had 3.
Correct.
Okay. 3 minutes have exceeded. Council, we will have this sent out to you. There's another supporting page behind it, and we knew we wouldn't get to that. And so those 2 documents, this was sent to staff today. It was not sent to me. I received it when I walked in this evening, so I had not seen it prior to this. And so it will be sent out to all of you tomorrow through the email system. There's nobody else who is on the agenda for open forum. Next, we have consideration of Midwest Technology Campus Tax Abatement. Mr. Walker, our Planning Development Director.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So I guess for tonight, I guess it says like consideration of the abatement for the Midwest Technology Campus, but this is really just a formality to open the process to direct staff to look into this, to consider the viability of extending the abatement on the extra 3 buildings on the Midwest Technology Campus. I guess I don't have the agenda, but I guess I included the amount that has been abated so far. I included the extra 3 buildings that are to be abated for us to look at. As of tonight, like I said, I don't really have any opinions or anything, or I can answer questions about like the status of the current abatement. But this is really just about directing us to look at a new abatement. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, so my understanding of staff is the way our abatement process works is that the planning department has to come to us to get permission to start working on the tax abatement. And so staff is looking for direction and permission to start working on a tax abatement with the Midwest Technology Campus, correct?
Correct.
Someone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to allow staff to start working with Midwest Technology Campus on a tax abatement process for the city of Willmar. Discussion. Roll call. I'm sorry, Councilmember Nelson.
Just for clarification, is this what they were to the county and asked for this? Is this a follow-up from that?
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, our additional comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing your report when you have compiled your information.
Yep, certainly. Thank you.
You bet. And I see that Ms. Swedberg is here also from the EDC. So, Ms. Swedberg, I know that you worked really hard on this for the county, so look forward to working closely with you on this as well. Next, we have item number 10, which is consideration of professional services agreement with Bolton and Mink for airport apron expansion project. Mr. Rundigan.
Mr. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. What we have in front of you today, there will be a couple of slight changes I'll talk about, but I wanted to start with maybe just a bit of a history of how we got here to help you understand what we're asking for. So this is a request for encumbering some professional services to do the engineering and planning for this apron expansion. If you recall, when the airport was completed, for a number of years, we were not eligible for federal funding due to some contract language specifically that did not meet the requirements of the FAA's grant assurances. About 5 years ago, we were able to finally get that remedied, maybe 6 now. It goes by a little faster than I think. And that allowed us to start doing some projects out there. The first project that we did was a redesign of the taxi lanes in the private hangar area to start working on alleviating the drainage issues that we've had. It was not the end-all be-all, but it was the start, and we can talk about that as we go. The second project was to address some issues with pavement in the private or the T-hangar area that the city owns, as well as the full-length taxiway and the runway. Some areas where cracks had developed from settling ductwork and things like that, and so that was taken care of. What that did was put our pavement in a really pretty good spot and allowed us to start talking about things like the potential of a big box hangar and on the main ramp. One of the things that's happened throughout the use of our current airport is that we have had increased jet traffic, both from owners on the field, but also from things like net jets, the fractional ownerships, things like that. So we are seeing bigger, faster airplanes come into Willmar, which is a great thing, but we've had some limitations based on the size of the FBO hangar, the ceiling height, and I should say more accurately the door height. There are several aircraft that land in Willmar on a somewhat regular basis that we can get on our hangar one time. Then we'd have to replace the tail because it would take the top of the tail off. Of course, weather conditions in the summertime, weather conditions in the wintertime lead to us really feeling like we need a large storage hangar. So the original thought we had going back a few years ago was that the city of Willmar would borrow some entitlement dollars ahead and build this large box hangar ourselves with an apron that would connect it and to the main apron based on our current approved airport layout plan, and I can show you that in a second. Over the last year, I've had a private individual ask about either building that as a team. The issue there becomes we no longer would be available or eligible for the federal dollars on that hangar because we can't grant exclusive use to that hangar. And so then the individual asked about building it themselves, which is what brings us to where we're at. We have our airport layout plan. This was updated in 2017. We're still waiting for final FAA approval of it. None of this happens very quickly. But this is the main ramp area, and then this is the proposed expanded ramp area in the airport layout plan. Now, in order to get the eligibility for the federal funds, we need a couple of things. We need funds available, so we need our entitlement dollars there, and then we need justification. So right now, today, without any hangars here, there's really no justification for that ramp. But with a private individual or the city of Willmar proposing to build that hangar, that triggers the justification. And at that point, we would look at extending that apron to, in this case, the edge of what the new hangar would be. Now, these sizes are here just for reference placeholders. It's just a hope that we could build out there. And that would be the first thing that I want to point out is we did recently find out, just the end of last week, that the person intending to build is actually looking not at a 100 by 120 foot hangar as what's depicted, but a 147 by 125 foot hangar. What that would do is allow for an 120 foot door opening and really be able to accommodate any aircraft that would currently be using or currently be able to use our 5,500 foot runway. So as we go through this, I'll wrap up here, but I do want to point out that that's roughly 20% larger than was shown in your drawing here. And so those numbers will be finalized should the council approve this action tonight. Then Bolton and Mink will do the soil borings and the survey that will allow us to have the exact numbers that would include that slightly larger amount. But I do want to be transparent and say that, you know, just some kind of quick math, which of course can get you in trouble, but roughly 20% larger would take that 62,417, which is the local amount, and put it up maybe closer to $80,000. Now, the last thing, and then I'll open up for questions, the most exciting thing about this opportunity is new money to the airport. And so what we would be looking at is a land lease at 17 cents a square foot is our current rate on over 18,000 square feet of hangar space. So around $3,100 a year, something like that. Assessed property taxes on a building this size, just a rough guess by me, maybe a $2 million building. The other hangar on our main ramp pays about $8,400 in property taxes. So I'm not an assessor, but yeah, maybe 10, I don't know what that number would be. But even if we use the $8,400 number plus the 31, we're looking at a 6 or 7 year payback to the city with brand new money that's currently not being taken in on the airport. And then the last thing is, with a larger aircraft like this, or the potential of a larger aircraft, maybe a 20% increase in this individual's fuel sales. Our 20 cent a gallon flowage fee would add another $3,000 to $4,000 a year of new money coming into the airport. So it's really an opportunity for us to leverage this public-private kind of partnership, expand our ramp as per our plan, and really have money coming in that pays off our part of it in a pretty short period of time. So with that, I'll stand for questions from the council or the mayor.
Is there a motion to proceed with the project?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
There's motion been made and seconded. Discussion from council. Councilmember Wilma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Eric, for your time and due diligence, and also to Bolton and Mink and working. And there's a lot of discussion that's gone back and forth regarding this. I'm going to take this thing off because I can't talk. Just a couple questions for clarification. Number one, the intended purpose of the hangar is not purely an empty hangar for storage, correct?
That's correct. The individual looking at building is intending to build a hangar large enough to meet their needs for the next 20 years. And then they have really essentially doubled the needs doubled the size that they would potentially need to help provide a space for transient aircraft. And I apologize, I failed to mention that the Airport Commission has discussed this on several occasions, lots of very good discussion. The commission did vote on a 3-to-1 vote to move approval of this. The one dissenting member did have concerns about the size of the ramp and also other concrete needs on the airport. So in full disclosure, thank you.
Follow-up question to that then. Okay, so you're pointing to a user owner occupying this hangar with at least one aircraft. If this hangar wasn't to exist, would the aircraft be able to be located anywhere else on the airfield currently?
No, this the potential or the proposed purchase of an aircraft really is driving this need for a bigger hangar. There's not a spot to house the aircraft size that this individual is intending to purchase.
Okay, so without the hangar, no new aircraft?
Not at this time, no. Or at least not of the size that is being proposed, yeah.
And that would be because of both hangar size and probably taxi lane size as well?
Taxi lane size, but the biggest limiting factor is door height and door width at the airport.
Okay, so this kind of, there's a multifaceted thing. This is a potential home for a new aircraft as well as space for aircraft that typically would not fit in our other facilities.
Correct.
All right. I guess in my only comment, I would be supportive, and I've been kind of following along in the planning or the airport commission's work on this. I would be supportive of the project, and also, noted past comments by our consultant for our master plan that master plans are intended to change over time. If they're not changing and evolving over time, then we're not actively doing anything. And so, an evolving plan is a good plan, I believe, and according to our highly paid consultants, that's also the way to do it too. So I would support the measure. I guess based on some comments, some user comments that I've heard, there are obviously still some concerns regarding concrete issues, as you're aware, and I know if you could snap your fingers and take care of them, you would. But I would just ask that be an ongoing discussion as well. And if it can at all be part of, and maybe it can't, but if it can at all be a part of this work and or future work or worked into the project somehow, that would be a nice thing in order to maximize our dollar impact for any work that we're going to do out there. But thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Valiant, I think we entered into an agreement with David Turch and Associates,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And I know that when we built the airport originally, he had talked about there are times when there's dollars available. Councilman Plowman, would this be something maybe we should see if Mr. Turch could try to help us with some of those ancillary things that you just talked about and are addressed in this letter?
Yeah, I have to rack my brain because that was a number of years back. But I remember the discussion regarding that. I don't think that it should be, that it would be a huge hoop to jump to just get in touch and just explore the idea.
Right.
I don't know that it would hurt anything, but like I said, maximizing impact of dollars, because if money's going to be spent, if it's a good investment, then it's a good investment, and especially when we're talking, lease dollars, compounding on top of fuel sales, compounding on top of property taxes. If we're talking about a payback, typically for airport type things, you don't have a payback. An airport is a very expensive amenity that continues to cost a lot of money. So if we can talk about projects that have payback, that's a good thing in my opinion. So no, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. At least just dialogue leading in that direction. And I don't know what kind of consulting fees or whatnot there might be associated to that, but it certainly wouldn't hurt.
Fee, I think.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Can you put that on the list to give David a call? I know that we're not working with David, but with whoever it is we're working with.
Rachel Jones, and yes, we will.
Okay, thank you. Okay, additional comments or questions? Councilmember O'Brien.
The information that was addressed in the letter earlier, it looks like they've been waiting for this concrete for quite some time. We talked a little bit about the plans ahead for them. This money is going to be used for somebody that's not even living here, correct?
No, this person currently owns a hangar on the airport.
Okay.
And would be building this one in addition to the one that's currently owned.
Okay. So the grant money, and I know we're going to look into this, but the grant money is going to be used, can it be used for these issues with concrete?
Unfortunately, we have very specific limitations that we can use our federal dollars for. And so if you look just on this particular project at the drawing, there's an area out in front of the hangar that's kind of shaded orange. That is not eligible for any federal money. Currently, the state is in a position where they've got some money available that we can utilize. It's a different funding balance, if you will, and so there's a bit more local money that has to go in that first part. But each of these are very specific as to where we can use that money. So when we did the taxi lane rehabilitation project in the private hangar area, we looked at any possible way we could fill in some of those gaps, because we've been waiting for a long time to do that. And the FAA would not participate in anything other than just the 35-foot width of the taxi lanes in that private hangar area. So the hope has been that we could do just small local projects to fill those gaps in. And over the years, you know, if you want to go back to 2009, 2010, of course, the economy was terrible. It took a while to get back up and running. Once we got back up in say 2014, 2015, our economies looked better. That was when we got back in the good graces of the FAA, and we were able to do some of these larger projects, which had to happen first before we could do some of the smaller ones there. So we still have those on the list for sure. We also have the main issue with the private hangar area is there's no drainage. Everything was built flat. And so we need to create some artificial fall. And I was actually working with our city engineer, Sean Christensen, before he left, on some options to the west of the driveway to the airport. We've got some space that we currently lease as ag land, but it's flooded out 9 out of 10 years. And our plan was to put a culvert under the road from the south side of the private hangar area to that west side of the road. That would start to create some of that fall and then create a retention pond. We don't want a holding pond, you know, we don't want water to stand there, but we can retain it for a few days before it slowly makes its way off the airport. But then we would put a tile line, because the other problem that we have is, you know, the subsoil moisture is just so high there. So a tile line from the west side, I don't have a good drawing for you, but from the east side, I'm sorry, of the private hangar area, around to the south side of that taxi lane, that would then daylight out into that west side of the airport road. That would do a lot to eliminate the water problems as well. So a couple of projects there that would be local, and then those concrete projects. And absolutely, I'm in favor of, if we could do those tomorrow, I would say let's start doing them tomorrow, because the ultimate need in that private hangar area, again, we need to create some fall. And then if we can make that whole area impervious, so we aren't trying to soak in so much water, instead have it run off into a retention pond on the other side of the road, we'll be in a spot where the airport will be in a much better place. Hindsight's always 20/20. It would have been nice to not be having this discussion, but here's where we are right now, and we need to make it happen. So I understand. I feel for the frustrations. For what it's worth, the gentleman looking at building this new hangar, if it rains 4 inches, we'll have 3 inches of water in his hangar currently. And that's a disappointing thing with a large jet in the hangar. So I've been there helping him squeegee and running a floor scrubber to suck that water up. So it is an issue that has to be addressed. Unfortunately, we in a project like this, you know, we can leverage, let's say, an $80,000 investment by the city turns into $1 million or $1.2 million ramp and a $2 million hangar, but we can't leverage that same money everywhere else on the airport.
Yeah. So as far as the control of the water, I mean, you still have that on the drawing board.
Absolutely, yeah, and we have discussed that, and oftentimes, like I say, we had a plan with Sean, and we had some ideas talking with Public Works of being able to use our own equipment. And the nice thing about some of those local projects is we aren't hamstrung by some of the specific regulations that we have to go with here. You know, in order to be eligible for this money, we have to have a Bolton and Mink to be our consulting engineer. We're required to do that in order to access that money. When we're spending our local money, though, we certainly want to do our due diligence, don't get me wrong, but in some of these things we can do our due diligence with the expertise that we already have on staff, and utilizing their abilities to, let's say, set a culvert, set an elevation for a culvert, and make sure that we create the fall that we need.
Thank you.
Councilman Butterfield.
Now, would our local option sales tax on the stormwater fit in the to this category to help out the flooding there?
I think for the flooding piece it would, but not for the project that's on the table right now, which is our, which is the airport, or the apron expansion and the building. So, so maybe for what Councilmember O'Brien's talking about, it may. Ms. Valiant, maybe we can look into that? Okay. Additional comments or questions? Good idea. Well, Eric, you know, it's always nice when a project comes. Could you pick your, okay, so we did an expansion, after we did the original FBO buildings, we added another hangar for a private contractor. On that particular one, I think that was for Dunix.
Yeah, originally built by Bruce Yeager as part of Willmar Air Service.
Right.
Yep.
But how much of that did we pay for when that was done, when that project was done? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I was not in this particular position at the time that the airport was built, so I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. And then who's going to receive the revenues? You know, one of the things that Mr. Fry addressed in his memo to me. Okay, I just got a message from the paper that the live stream is not working. Staff, can you check to see if we got the live stream working? So who's going to receive those revenues off of that building once that building's built?
Sure.
Is that going to be shared or?
So the land lease is a contract with the city of Willmar.
Right.
And then the property taxes are assessed, and that comes back to the city of Willmar too. It's inside the city limits. And so those are recognized by the city, but required to stay at the airport because they're revenue generated at the airport.
Okay. Okay. So the sign of a successful community is the sign of a successful airport. And the work that you're doing out there, you're doing yeoman's work. I mean, I hear positive comments from people flying into the airport all the time about how things have changed. And a lot of the users of the airport have also talked to me and said, you know, you're doing a great job. And of course, Mr. Curry, when he left, of course, he had nothing but glowing comments for you and your staff and the work that you guys do out there. So, as you know, Pat did a lot of good work out there. So, so it's nice to see another project coming, and this is something that's great. Is there any chance? Is there any chance that the EDC could partner with us at all on any of this funding?
We would take support from anywhere that we can, and I would note thank you for the kind words. What we try to tell our staff and try to live by is it doesn't matter what happened for the last few years. What's important is tomorrow. So what can we do tomorrow to make the airport a little bit better, to improve on things, to fix things? There's tons of maintenance all the time that we're trying to work on. I will acknowledge that there are times that we too fall behind and try to catch back up, and so I appreciate the kind words, but in pilot speak we say it doesn't matter how many hours you have, the only important hour is the next one. And so we say the same thing as tomorrow we need to do some things to make the airport better. Every day we try to do it. So I appreciate the support from the council, and certainly any other questions on this specific project I would entertain.
Additional comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have consideration of Amendment 2 with Bolton and Mink for the 2022 street improvements. Mr. Mann, our interim Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I bring before you a report to do an amendment to the number 2 of the agreement. As you remember, back in September of 2021, we entered into an agreement with Bolton Mink to handle our 2022 street projects. The project that is in question is the project of 13th Street Southwest and Litchfield Avenue. This project was originally set as a mill and overlay with a partial reconstruction. Following conversations between city staff, Bolton and Mink, and Wilma Municipal Utilities, we found some of our underground utilities were not good enough to have a mill and overlay, so we changed that to a full reconstruction. And so that changes this agreement that we went into in September to change this project to a full overlay or a full reconstruction project.
Okay, so the request is consider an amendment for the 2022 street improvement project in the amount of $207,012. Council, what do you wish?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the amendment number 2 with Bolton and Mink. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson. Aye. Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next, we have a consideration to reappropriate capital improvement funds to purchase 2 docks for the boat landings of both Foote and Wilmer Lakes. Now, this is something that was added to the agenda today. It's something we found out on Friday, from what I understand, in talking with staff today. And so this is being brought forward for your consideration. So, Mr. Manzer, Interim Public Works Director, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'm sorry about the late notice on this. We've been working on this for a while, working with the DNR, trying to leverage some funding. We currently have 3 docks, and I'm talking about the docks that are at the roll-in docks where you launch a boat. This is not the fishing piers that we've had on this conversation before. This is the roll-in docks. We currently have 3 docks that have been there since as long as I can remember. Those have not been replaced. So I'm not going to put a date on them, but it's been a while. Anyways, we pull those out in the fall, and then through the winter we pull them back to our facility and we go through them and fix them. Well, 2 of them did not make the trip. They were rusted out so bad that one of them completely collapsed on the road for us, and they're beyond repair. So Kurt Hine, the project manager, myself, been working with DNR, making a lot of phone calls, trying to leverage some dollars to see what we could come up with. On Friday, about noon, we found out that the DNR would participate with 1 dock out of the 3. And so with going forward with that 1 dock, we have to enter into a different agreement, which that's going to take some time. And then by the time you get that dock, it's going to be a while, and we're getting short on time. So we need to replace 2. We need to replace all 3 of them. 1 is usable yet. So I'm asking you to for your approval to transfer some CIP funds with some that we have set in place for signal pole painting, that we could appropriate those dollars to purchase these 2 docks through the state of Minnesota MinCorp, which is a part of the Department of Corrections with the state of Minnesota. Each dock is $7,400 a piece, plus to ship the 2 docks would be $600 for a total of $15,400. I would answer any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the reappropriation of CIP funds to purchase the 2 docks for the boat landings at both Foote and Wilmer Lakes. Discussion. Councilman Plowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do really like the pole painting project and its progress thus far, so I hope that it's not going to be terminated, but I would acknowledge that it's probably more important that money be allocated towards these docks right now, but I hope there's a plan to get that back rolling again.
So when we set those dollars for the CIP budget back in July or August, wasn't aware of what MnDOT had in mind for Highway 12. And I think we've had a couple meetings on it, but I believe it's either next year or the year after they're going to do some reconfigure or some redoing of Highway 12 from the bridge out by Genio Plant 1 all the way up to the old Domino's Pizza on 6th Street Southeast. Well, in that section was 2 sets of poles that we were going to have repainted. So with that, we probably wouldn't be doing those anyways because it wouldn't make sense for us to repaint them when they come and because they're gonna redo all the signals as they come through. So I still think that's gonna leave us enough money after we do these docks to finish at least what we got on First Street and then Willmar Avenue and 19th. So I think we'll be real close.
It's good to hear that the right people are talking and thinking creatively and making sure that we can continue with our projects while getting new stuff that pops up taken care of. So I would support this motion.
Thank you.
Additional comments or questions? So roll call for the consideration of reallocating the CIP funds in the amount of $15,400 to purchase 2 new docks and then delaying the painting of the light semaphores. Roll call.
Councilmember Plowman,
Aye.
Nelson. Aye. Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Thank you, Gary. Next is consideration of cooperative construction agreement with Candidacy County for overlay improvements on 7th Street Northwest. Mr. Manzer, our Public Works Director.
This is kind of turning into my show here a little bit.
It is. Yeah, you can move up here.
So this is a cooperative agreement between the City of Willmar and Candidacy County. Candidacy County is planning to mill and overlay a portion of, I call it the radio station road, but I guess it's 7th Street and then it's County 41. But it starts from the entrance or from where 15th Avenue intersects with just north of the radio station. So it'd be where you go to the college there, that intersection. And they're gonna mill and overlay all the way down to the north end of Park Avenue, which is just on the south edge of the fairgrounds. And the city's portion of that, there's some curb and gutter that has to be replaced. There's a storm sewer pipe that goes across the fairgrounds parking lot there. And then at this time, we're gonna do some path repair, bicycle path repair along the radio station area there. And we're also gonna repave and we're gonna raise the parking lot at Rao Park on the south side a little bit. We're gonna bring that grade up a little higher and get that drainage better there. And then repave both those parking lots as part of this project. And this project is gonna be a short window of time. I talked with Mel Odens, the county engineer. He wants to start this project shortly after Wilmer Fest, and he wants it done before the fair. So that's a tight window to get this done, so. And we're gonna do some in-kind work on our Rao Park stuff with our staff as well, part of this project.
Council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve a cooperative construction agreement with Candidacy County for the overlay and improvements of 7th Street Northwest in an amount approximately $74,187.50. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Mr. Manzer, make sure and pass on to the county folks our appreciation of this partnership and working together on this. This is
I will.
nice to see this happening.
Yep, it's gonna be a good project. That's
Be a great-
overdue, that area.
Yep, without a doubt. Next, we have consideration to update the facility use policy, shelter cancellation procedures. Mr. Manzer, our interim Public Works Director again.
Yeah, I'm gonna step in for Rob here tonight as he's out of town on some family business. So, this year is, in a nutshell, is we have a shelter cancellation. So people reserve the Four Seasons shelter a long time ahead and then comes up prior to the shelter use and they'll cancel, and they've canceled up within a couple of days of the use. And there's a twofold to that. One is the city loses out on some revenue for the shelter, but the worst of it is that somebody else may have wanted to rent it for that purpose and now they don't have an opportunity because they rescheduled someplace else. I think this last year we had 37 cancellations, and out of those that's only 2 shelters that we were renting this last year. So that's a lot of cancellations. I know they do keep a list of, in case somebody does cancel, they have kind of a list of people that could do it at the last minute. So basically what this is, at the park board's recommending that if the person does not cancel within 10 business days of their rental, that they would not be refunded their fee for the cancellation. Anything outside the 10 business days, they would get the refund of their fee.
Council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. I have a question for you. How many of those cancellations did they use COVID as an example of why they canceled?
I honestly couldn't tell you on that. I don't, Rob kind of handles all the cancellations, but I do know that that was one of the reasons that some people did cancel. But I couldn't honestly answer that.
Okay. Council? Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Ask.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes as well. Next, we have consideration of premise permit for Wilma Hockey Association at Foxhole Brewhouse. Ms. Thompson, our city clerk.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, before you is a request to approve a premise permit and direct myself to forward the same to the Gambling Control Board for approval. This would be for a premise permit for a gambling license at the Foxhole Brewhouse.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve a premise permit for Wilma Hockey Association at the Foxhole Brewhouse. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Ask.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next, we have consideration of premise permit for Wilma Hockey Association for Wilma Community Golf Club. Ms. Thompson, our city clerk.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, before you again is another premise permit to, for your approval. It's from the Wilma Hockey Association, making application to the Gambling Control Board to obtain a premise permit for gambling license at the Wilma Community Golf Club.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Ask.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes as well. Any council members have any community pride announcements? Seeing and hearing none.
I got one.
Council member O'Brien.
I'd just like to say that thanks Public Works. I mean, they've been doing an enormous job on the snow removal. I mean, it's been incredible. I mean, you guys are just there all the time getting that snow out of those road ditches and stuff. It's been great.
Thank you. Additional comments? Okay, we are now going to go into executive session to discuss the evaluation of the performance of Leslie Valiant, our city administrator, pursuant to Minnesota State Statute 13D.05 sub 3A. The agenda item is for the evaluation of the performance of the city administrator. This portion of the meeting will be closed under such statute. I will now entertain a motion to close this portion of the meeting unless the employee wishes to have the meeting open.
So moved.
Second.
There has been a motion and a second to close the meeting. Those remaining in the room would be, where do I have this? Do we have the recording device?
Question.
This conference is no longer being recorded.